Yo, what's up guys? Bill here, Classic Rock and Metal Review. Time for the monthly haul. Go over all the CDs I got for the month, past month. This is April 2023 edition. And a little change, guys. We're just going to focus on the ones I had the chance to really digest. Give you a little review, give you a 0 to 10 sort of rating on them. Of course, we'll talk about them, brief history about them, and then, like I said, review them. As opposed to me just showing you 20, 30, 40 titles. I think this month I actually acquired 22 items. Now I'm talking just your regular commercial releases. We cover bootlegs on a bootleg episode. We cover all things video on a video episode. Later on in the month, I suggest if you want to see it, just hang around. David Bowie, Sound and Vision from the box set. This would be disc number 1. Now typically, yes, I am a completist. I considered getting the whole box set. Really just all not that interested in most of the other stuff. This disc here just covers 69 to 73. Somebody lent me the entire box set back when it was new. They also lent me Hunky Dory. I made a mixtape out of the two of those. And honestly, guys, it was pretty much, for the most part, 70% of this CD, 85% of Hunky Dory, and maybe 5 or 6 songs from the other 2 discs from Sound and Vision. So I'm not that really into that other era of Bowie that much. This stuff's great, though. Let's go down this a little bit. And you can get this for about $10, just disc 1. Highly recommend that. Space Oddity. It's an original demo, previously unreleased, from '69. Favorite version of this. Wild Eyed Boy from Free Cloud. Rare B-side version, '69. Great song. Not sure what other album that song's on, but it's a great one. Prettiest Stars, just okay. London by Tata, previously unreleased track, recorded in '70. Good rocker, Black Country Rock. An album track from The Man Who Sold the World from '71. If you're not familiar with London by Tata, it's kind of in the vein of Black Country Rock. They're both rockers and they're good ones. Title track from The Man Who Sold the World. The Bowie Brothers from Hunky Dory, 1971. Great album. Changes from Hunky Dory. Now, that's probably one of the few songs on Hunky Dory I'm not that into, and I know it was a hit. I just don't care for it. Round and Round, B-side from Ziggy Sessions, 71. It's a Chuck Berry song. And it's good. I like it. It's 2.5 minutes, so, good one. Moon Age Daydream, one of my favorite, maybe my favorite Bowie song. John, I'm Only Dancing, Aladdin Sane outtake, 73. That's a great song. Driving Saturday from Aladdin Sane, that's okay. Panic in Detroit, another Aladdin Sane track, great one. Does end a little bit on a weak note for me, only because I don't really like live versions on compilations. That's what we get 3 of at the end here from the Ziggy motion picture. Ziggy Stardust, White Light, White Heat, the Velvet Underground cover, and Rock and Roll Suicide. So ends a little on a weak note for me, only because I'm more of a fan of studio versions on compilations. But Sound and Vision, disc 1 from David Bowie, is awesome. Really loved reliving this. Must have listened to it 20 times back then. I even kept that tape up until 5 years ago when I ditched all my tapes. I would rate that bad boy about a 9.3. Journey, Infinity, 1978 album on Columbia Records. You get 10 songs on this one. First album with Steve Perry. Last album with Ainsley Dunbar on drums. So kind of a crossroads for the band here, and a really good, tasty sort of time for these guys, in my opinion. You got some touches of the old progressive band in there. Songs are all sort of fit for radio as far as the lengths go. So it's a nice blending of sort of the old and new, I guess you'd say. They temporarily had a guy named Robert Fleischman in as vocalist. He did some tracks with them, one of which is on the Time Cube box set. But Steve Perry fully involved on this one. Standout tracks for me are really the most popular songs, to be honest with you. I don't really have any deep cuts on here that I think beat out the hits. Lights, to start the album, is a great one. Feeling That Way, which always segs right into Anytime, is awesome. Greg Raleigh singing still on Anytime, even though it's mostly a chorus kind of song. It's a great one. Wheel in the Sky, my other favorite. Plenty of, you got some touches of ballads from Steve Perry in here. You got Neil Schon shredding here and there on guitar. Couple of little spots, some little spotty placement of progressive rock in there too. Like I said, they keep the lengths of these songs in the 4-minute range, so nothing gets too sort of outlandish or lasts too long. It's just a nice blending of trying to become more commercial, but still having those roots of progressive rock in there. This one works great. It's probably my second favorite Journey album behind Frontiers. I'll give it like an 8.5. Blue Murder, 1989 self-titled CD. Guys, I know I've heard about it. I've never heard it. Not even a note of this thing until the past week or so. And turned right around and played it again within a few days. Great one. Everything you've ever heard about this, absolutely true. John Sykes puts this band together after he's, dismissed or what have you from Whitesnake. Big contributor to that 1987 Whitesnake album. For whatever reason, of course, he's out of the band. Some early attempts at putting Blue Murder together were to utilize different vocalists. I think Ray Gillen was one. I think another drummer considered was Cozy Powell. What we end up with here is John Sykes on guitar and lead vocals. And guys, he's a full-on legit lead vocalist, Why he was even looking for someone else to sing, it's kind of a waste of time. He's great. His guitar playing speaks for itself. It's phenomenal. We got Carmine Appice on drums. Can't ever say no to that dude. Tony Franklin on bass. Now here's the wild card for me going into this album. I only knew about him from The Firm. And quite honestly, I wasn't a big fan of The Firm's music in general. Jimmy Page and Paul Rodgers, the music they came up for those, at least that initial album. I have Mean Business back there, somewhere I haven't even heard yet. But it left Tony Franklin a lot of space to solo and noodle. As you know, he's a fretless bass player. That type of bass has a real distinct sound. Doesn't really lend itself to rock too well, I don't think. Didn't really dig him with The Firm. However, I can't get enough of him here. I think the difference being that John Sykes just fills the whole room up musically so much that it's sort of a refreshing thing to hear that fresh fretless bass come in, when it does, which isn't really all that often, but when it's there, it sounds really cool. I don't know why. It just blends better with this hard rock, heavy rock than it did with, who would have figured, bluesy rock written by Paul Rodgers and Jimmy Page. So standout songs on this one for me. Really, most of the album's great. I'll go with Riot as my favorite. I'll go with Billy as my second favorite. I just like that whole descending note pattern rhythm that Sykes has on Billy. Valley of the Kings is awesome. Sex Child, super solid, hard rocker. So is Ptolemy at the end or near the end. And then Black Hearted Woman, just straight ahead rockers. Great ones. Out of Love, I guess kind of a power ballad, if you want to call it that. Just a rocker really again, but a slower one. Some acoustic intro, I believe, on that one. The single was Jelly Roll, which I think might be my least favorite song on here. It's just okay. It's not bad. Overall, though, speaking about the whole entire album, there's just these little sort of pockets of synth, these cool percussive intros to a couple of the songs by Carmine. They sound like they might be a little augmented with some electronic percussion. It's really hard to tell. As soon as you hear this album, you want to hear it again. It's great. It's everything that I heard it was. Love it. Now, of course, they would change lineups by their follow-up in 93, but who cares about that? Let's enjoy Blue Murder, 1989 self-titled debut. I would give this bad boy like an 8.8. Super solid. Geils band, Flashback, the best of. This is a 1985 compilation of them. Now, I had this on cassette back in the day. I probably got rid of it a long time ago, actually. Don't remember liking it much. Remember liking the hits and not a whole lot else. So I got this for $2 or $3 or whatever. what the heck, let's give it another chance kind of thing. EMI America's the label, 10 songs. Basically, I think trying to take advantage of their early 80s popularity. The Freeze Frame album had 2 smash singles, so they're on here. What else do you get? Love Stinks is the opener. I didn't really used to care for that too much. I saw them do it on Saturday Night Live. It was a 1980 show being rebroadcast, probably late 90s or something like that, maybe later. I loved how they did Love Stinks on there. A little more guitar in there. So now I like that song. That's a great one. Freeze Frame's cool. There's a B-side from the Freeze Frame single called Flamethrower on here. That's actually good. Little funky pop rocker. The next song, Just Can't Wait. Just unabashedly pop music and not good either. I Do, kind of like Sha-Na-Na-ish, in my opinion. Maybe fun in concert, not on record. Centerfold's a great one, no denying that. Comeback, fair at best, keyboard pop. Wild Man, don't even remember that one. One Last Kiss, this is actually a pretty good song. Just sort of a moody minor chord pop song. It has a good like hook, the harmonica and the guitar like playing along, in unison for the hook, and that's pretty catchy. That's a decent song. Land of a Thousand Dances, more fun rock here at the end. Not too into this album, although I used to only like a couple songs. There's probably 5, 6 that are pretty good on here. So, I'll be generous and give it a 7. So it's not garbage, nothing great there. Michael McDonald, If That's What It Takes, his 1982 solo debut. Now this, guys, I actually had this back sometime in the late 80s. I got it on vinyl. And somehow, even though I've purged my vinyl collection a dozen times, somehow still kept it, even though I didn't even like it. As you can see, opened and played. Looks like it's from Strawberries. That Strawberries left the area where I used to shop in the early to maybe mid 90s, I don't know. Anyway, $2.99, still in great shape. You know what? It's a pretty damn good album. Actually, my cousin pretty recently, he's got satellite radio. He must have heard something from it on there. And he told me to check this album out again. It's really good. So I came across it for a couple bucks on eBay. Plopped the old brand new jewel case on there. It looks like new. And it is on the mellow side. No denying. Not even Doobies heavy. All right. Not even Echoes of Love Doobies heavy. Or what is it? One Step Closer. All right. Not even that. But still really good. When it's good, it's really good. There's a couple songs that are just sort of on the boring side. You got some killer writers on here. Lieber and Stoller, Kenny Loggins, Jackie DeShannon. Players, it's a who's who. Backing vocals, Christopher Cross, Kenny Loggins. 3 of the guys from Toto play on the album. A couple of the guys from the Doobies. You get the point. Steve Gadd on drums. All right, so let's get into this one a little bit. Playing by the Rules is the opener. That's a really good song. Took me a little bit to grow on me, but it has. It was the second single, and it's a pretty good one. I Keep Forgetting. Awesome song. Probably his best on here, but there's others that are almost as good or maybe just as good. Love Lies, the next one, I would say is probably my favorite on here. It's great. And when Michael McDonald's at his best, no matter what the chorus, or no matter what the verses do or the music do, his best songs seem to just lift up a notch when they get to the chorus. The piano gets funkier, things liven up, the vocals go from just a single vocal to like layered vocals. And that's what Love Lies does. Nice, funky, soulful piano in the chorus. Sounds great. Classic Michael McDonald here. I Gotta Try. Mid-tempo song, nothing special. Let's skip ahead to 2 more great tracks. Track 6, That's Why, and title song, track 7, If That's What It Takes. Both of those got that sort of funky, almost Cajun funky piano, layered vocals, catchy choruses. Everything that I haven't mentioned on here is still pretty decent. I'm going to give this one an 8.6. Michael McDonald, If That's What It Takes, his first solo album from 1982. Steve Miller Band, Abracadabra, 1982 on Sailor Records. 10 songs on this one. Now, Miller's prior album, Circle of Love, 1981, that was his first in like 3 or 4 years, and it didn't do well. Had like 4 songs on side 1, I think, and side 2 took up 1 song. It was an 18-minute song. So you could probably see why it didn't do great. I mean, I really never heard it, so I really shouldn't comment. And another reason I shouldn't comment is because I never heard this before and really, surprisingly, liked this. Now, I really didn't have any sort of preconceptions going in, other than I figured it was going to be a much more modern sound. And that was really my only thing to go on. I love the title track, so I got this for $3 or something. As you can see, brand new case. Let's check out Abracadabra by Steve Miller Band. As an overall, I'll tell you this much. The instrumentation and, the music on here does sound sort of, modern rock or new wave, if you want to put it that way. But it's really kind of poppy. I really have to give it to Steve Miller on this album for one thing especially. None of these songs really sound that much alike. A lot of the sort of modern rock or the new wave bands, I think, had a sound. Not all of them, and not every song by all of them, but there's nothing really here that sounds like the same song, even though a lot of it does sound sort of new wave. Lots of keyboard and synth things going on. I think what he successfully does here, he's written a bunch of good, catchy songs, and they're still anchored in the multi-layered triple Steve Miller, double and triple Steve Miller vocal, where he's harmonizing with himself, sounds like a full band of Steve Millers singing these choruses, sometimes even the verses. And they're catchy. It's the most important thing. I mean, I can't see you liking Greatest Hits 74 to 78 and not liking this. Now, some songs are better than others, but overall, this is really good, interesting. If you're not anti-new wave, you're going to like this record. Keep Me Wondering Why is a great sort of like 3-minute song as an opener. Sort of pop, pop rock or whatever. But it's good. Abracadabra, full version on here. So what we've mostly heard through the years is the single version. It's about 3.5 minutes. This one's about 4.5, maybe even a little longer. Kind of reminiscent of Threshold with Jet Airliner, how you get that long intro. This one, you get the long outro, and it's pretty spacey and pretty awesome. The next one's something special. Another just catchy. It sounds new wave, but it still sounds grounded in Steve Miller pop. Awesome. I have to go fast forward to, I think, Things I Told You, number 6. That's another favorite of mine. Sort of a blend of different bands. I kind of hear The Police. I kind of hear Blondie or maybe Devo or something, but they're never really like any one of those bands. So sort of what I was already telling you. A blend of different styles from the era. Although you could say that for each individual song, here, right among the one song you hear, you sort of hear that mixture. While I'm Waiting is the last song on the album. That's another really good one. Little sort of sweet light rocker. Nothing too fancy here, but another great melody, nice bridge, little acoustic solo. And he does these little acoustic solos, harmonica solos. So nothing sounds too new wave, I mean, it does and it doesn't. But mostly it's the 70s style, catchy Steve Miller writing that keeps this album solid. Really does. I'm going to have to give this one an 8.3. And, I'm kind of glad it's from 82. I don't have much from the early 80s that's not metal. This is a really good, strong album. Despite the fact that you only had one hit single overall, there's a couple clunkers, a couple just okays. There's 8 really solid songs. Ratt, Dancing Undercover, 1986 album on Atlantic, 10 songs. You know what, guys? Never heard a damn note of this album. I mean, maybe a couple times, Body Talk or whatever. But it was years ago, so this was sort of basically new to me. The one thing that just, back in 86, I had everything else up till then. I think I just saw this cover, saw that title, and figured, no way, sellouts. It's hardly a sellout album. This might be their heaviest album. It probably is. up to this point. Overall, what I'd have to say about it though, there's just not a lot of standout songs. Now I've listened to it twice. The whole thing's really good. The whole thing's really heavy. There's a couple of standouts, but really, you know, their other albums had 4 standouts, you know. This one, maybe Dance, the opener. Slip of the Lip and Body Talk, I can see how they're catchy, but they're not necessarily any better than most of the rest of the album. I kind of like It Doesn't Matter. That's pretty good. Nice groove to that one. That's more like, instead of just guitar, bass, and drums kind of leading the way. But, you know, overall, it's still a really damn good album. I'm going to have to listen to it a little more to maybe try to find some standouts or some favorites. But you know what? I've been missing out on some good metal all these years from Ratt. I love their first 3 things they did. And this one stands up right there. You know what? Especially One Good Lover, really could say the whole album. But the second song on here really sounded like Jeff Lynch guitar tone to me. One Good Lover. But really, I guess a lot of the album kind of does. And it kind of reminds me, the whole album reminds me of Back for the Attack by Dokken. Super heavy. Maybe the heaviest thing they ever did. Super consistently good all the way through. And lacking standout tracks. You know, I put Back for the Attack and this one in the same sort of category. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, these guys could have been, you know, more of a sellout by this point. Same could be said for Dokken by 87. And they decided to go heavier. So I'm all right with this album. It's still pretty good. I'll still probably give it like a solid 8.2, 8.4, somewhere in there. But Ratt Dancing Undercover is a damn good one. All right, y'all, let's wrap it up with Dan Fogelberg's 1979 album, Phoenix. I used to have this on cassette. Cassettes are 6 years so out of here, gone. Haven't heard it in at least that long. Good one. The prior album for Dan was a sort of a combination effort with Tim Weisberg, jazz player, flutist. So that was a little bit of a departure for Dan. Back to his usual singer-songwriter style with this guy. And it's a great one. Maybe I never really realized how good this was. We open up with, Dan writes every song on here by himself. Typical Dan Fogelberg album. No helping in that category. Tullamore do a little instrumental that goes into the title track, Phoenix. Phoenix, acoustic rocker. I mean, there's an electric in there too. If you don't know this, Joe Walsh not only produced but played on a couple of earlier Fogelberg records, and this kind of sounds like something he would have played on, or maybe could have played on. Good one, really gets things going. Gypsy Wind and The Last to Know, 2 just solid Dan Fogelberg numbers. Face the Fire is another good one. This one's more of a full-on rocker. Wishing on the Moon, good one again. Piano and guitar led song. Maybe light to medium rock. And then we go full on, I don't want to say ballad, but light rock with Heart Hotels. But that song is freaking amazing. One of my favorites by Dan, Heart Hotels, awesome. Longer follows that up. This was another hit song for him. Got to number 1 on the Adult Contemporary. Heart Hotels got to number 3. As pop songs, Longer got to number 2. Heart Hotels, 21. Super successful songs for him. Beggar's Game and the Along the Road to End It, they're both great. Beggar's Game was the 3rd single off the album, and that's a good one. Piano vocal that sort of morphs into full-on orchestra. Along the Road, Dan with an acoustic, and the acoustic has this nice like chorusy swirling effect on it. The usual multi-layered vocals that Dan does on every album. Self-harmonizing thing. Nice ender. Another really great album from a consistently great artist, Dan Fogelberg. 1979 album, Phoenix. Give this one a solid 8.8. Great stuff. And guys, that's actually going to do it for this month. There were the 8 pickups that I got myself into so far in the last month. There were actually a total of 22. So hopefully get to those other ones eventually, along with the other 150 or so that I've got in past monthly hauls and still haven't heard. So that's how we'll handle it from now on. You'll get basically a whole show full of reviews. All right, guys, that's going to do it for now. If you can like and subscribe, that'd be awesome. By the way, it's April of 2023. At the end of the month, we're going to do the I Was There episode. I'll take you back to what it was like to be at the Armored Saint, Wasp, Metallica show, Ride the Lightning tour. So they're going to be our featured artists this month. If it's applicable, we'll spotlight one of those artists during the various up to 10 episodes we do each month. All right, y'all, that'll do it for now. Everyone have a great weekend.